hello, and welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where you come here first to quench your reality thirst, and we put the tea in reality, period. I'm your girl, Lana, the resident diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea. So if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up, period. I ran out of water. I was too lazy to get up and get me some more. But if I did have water, it would be in my cup mug that you can purchase from my Etsy shop. Get your cup merch and be a part of the cup family, period. But I'm not going to be drinking anything. If I am, I'm fronting.
And I'm Logan Murphy. I say something gay. Gay. We've got water. We're drinking coffee. Why? I don't know, honestly. Probably because after this week of Australian Survivor, I was left like this.
Why not?
Oh, hi. It's Ashley, and we're here. We're going to talk about Survivor. Woohoo. I don't know what I'm doing. I have some Gatorade I could finish. I have some Dr. Pepper I could play along with. I've got alcohol, so it really just depends on if the greatest tribal council really needs anything to drink with it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Hi, I'm Ashley.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. I mean,
are you really from Wisconsin? I can't tell anymore.
Maybe I'm not. Who knows?
With all the different accents.
This whole time, we thought that Ashley was from Wisconsin, and then all of a sudden she's like, no, I'm from South Carolina, y'all.
Girl, I've been wanting to move. I've been fixing to move, okay?
I mean, look. She can move to North Carolina, where, the east, way east. Mm-hmm. But, Ashley, you can tell me, you know exactly where that is because you lived in America for half your life. So
that was a good callback.
Shout out to my favorite African American player ever, Rogue.
The African English American player.
African, yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was good.
That is never going to get just a side eye for me ever, always.
Whoever tweeted that, like, shout out to our African American icon, I was just like,
Rogue.
Stop.
I mean, queen of African Americans, of all African Americans, is Rogue. Ugh.
Rogue's tiara for.
Look, we won't be doing that. Not doing Black History Month. We won't be doing that.
Not even in like the same year that it's in there. No.
We won't be doing that during Black History Month. Not on my watch. I'm sorry. Anyway, so we're back to talk about Survivor Australia Week 3. And this was hyped up to be the greatest tribal council ever in history. In the history of Survivor Australia, this is going to be the greatest tribal council ever. So grab your popcorn, clutch your butts, do what you got to do, because it's about to go down, period.
Now, okay, I want to start. We're going to dive into it, obviously. Do we think it was the best tribal ever?
I was whelmed, but I also watched live. And I was like tired and emotional, so I was whelmed, but it was good.
I mean, it was good. I haven't watched very, very many seasons of their tribal councils. I mean, it was definitely liver than most of the U.S. tribal councils that I've seen. But the greatest, I don't know, because I feel like a couple of their previous tribal councils were actually better. Like, it still gave, you know what I'm saying? It gave what it needed to give, sure. It was live, yes. Was it a lot of going back and forth? It was a lot. But I don't, and even in that, I liked how it went down, but I didn't like how it went down. Like I felt like some of it was kind of like, but we'll talk about it.
Greatest for Australian Survivor, maybe. There was one big twist that will probably take it down a couple of notches for me, quite personally. For me, I have to say the greatest of all time. No, I think my favorite tribal of all time is honestly Wentworth Does Not Count.
That's T. That is one you
Let's see. That's yeah.
I might
Wentworth Does Not Count, tied with Sari getting voted out with no votes.
That's what I was about to say. That was my next one. I was like, the Sari vote out was kind of iconic and sad at the same time. It was like a lot of emotion. But also,
it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Also, we cannot discount the tribal with Drea and Marianne doing what they did with Roxroy got voted. That was a very good tribal for a lot of different. It was very powerful, very good tribal for a lot of different reasons. So I'm not gonna say it was the greatest tribal ever, but it was good.
It wasn't the greatest for me because it made me feel a certain type of way, and it wasn't a good type of way.
Yeah, I agree.
It was polarizing for a lot of people on how they felt, either it be A side or B side. And I don't know if that's what I like. I want the greatest thing to be like, wow, they did that damn thing. They left no crumbs. They cleared their plate and they didn't go for second. Or they might have gone for seconds and did it again. Like, I just didn't get that feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll talk more about it once we get to tribal. But we start off where the heroes are trying to decide if Jerry, did he survive? Is he coming back? What is happening? And Jerry is at the villains camp feeling very much at home. Very like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is a great group. They accept me. No questions asked. Everybody wants me as their number. So I'm in a very powerful position over here. And he felt that. And I was like, very true. And he made his confession was like, Jerry got to start playing for Jerry. And Jerry got to, play this game that's best for me. And I can't play for everybody else, which I was like, yes, Jerry, go off. This is still Survivor. Even though you're on a hero's tribe or they labeled you as a hero, you still got to play the game. And I feel like Jerry was like, sure, they voted me out. They don't care. They sent me over here. I feel very much at home here. This is a good place to be. I got, whatever. So I was kind of cool with Jerry at that moment, and I felt good for him.
And then we go to the challenge, and the heroes are all like, Jerry, are you there? Jerry. After all y'all voted him out, almost. So I'm just like, why do y'all care?
It was weird. Real quick. Also, one little note that I wanted to make before we jump to the heroes being fake and phony, but because that's what they were. The whole the Simon George saga continues, and this is when George asked Simon if he's going for a swim, and Simon's like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Ooh."
To be fair, I'm a sarcastic asshole, and I'd say the same thing.
I was going to say, I'm going to throw it to resident Simon Me Stan account, Ashley B. Keenan, for your thoughts on this interesting debacle. Ashley, over to you.
Let's see. If I'm in a bathing suit walking towards water, am I going to go swimming or am I going to go cook some rice?
On Australian Survivor, you never know.
That's tea. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I get it. But like, if I'm a sarcastic asshole, so I might be like, no, I'm gonna go walk the dog. Like, no, of course I'm fucking going for a swim. Like, so like I get it, and I talked about it last episode too, where I'm like, they've been grading at each other so every little thing's gonna be escalated and intensified, and like, and the editors are obviously picking any moment that's like kind of spicy and being like, let's put it in, That's what she said. But sorry, I couldn't help myself. No, I think it's definitely just showing. I think it helps for the edit, for the build of the episode. Honestly, it's starting that tension from jump one, and I think that's
Hmm.
important for the edit of this one.
I agree. I agree. And I understand because like if he was walking towards the water when he asked that question, then yes, be a jerk. Be like, what do you think? Duh, no, I'm going to, do some yoga and I'm going to swim. But he was literally standing there just folding his clothes. So it's like, maybe you just got hot and took off your shorts. I don't know if you're going for a
Mm.
swim or not. You were just standing here. I, I feel like, see, this is where I'm like, I like Simon. I really do. And I want to be a really good fan. But I'm like, you're slipping because you're getting too annoyed by a player where it's taking you places you shouldn't go in a game. You know what I mean? Because you still have to have some kind of composure, a little bit of
Right.
tact to navigate. Not saying you got to be nice to everybody, because you don't. This is Survivor. You ain't got to be nice to everybody. But you also can't make everybody like look at you like, oh,
Mhm.
you just gonna be rude.
I sympathize. So like I think about someone I might not like a lot in my life. And if I had to sit on a beach for 2 weeks collectively not eating and being grumpy, I don't know if I'd actually be the nicest to them either though. Like I mean I sympathize.
I
Like
sympathize. Yeah,
yeah, it's hard
yeah.
both ways. It's hard both ways. I could see why George will get upset too because Simon's kind of, the type A person's going to say what he thinks, and maybe he shouldn't. But
I agree. I can see both sides of it too, because yeah, as nice as I want to claim I want to be and I would be if I was hungry and hot or wet because it's raining all the time, stuck on the beach, I, I might not be so nice. So yeah, sure. I get it. I get it. Makes sense.
I
Now we
agree.
move on. We move on to the challenge or whatever, where the heroes are being fake AF when Jerry walks around the corner. They're just like, "Oh my God, Jerry, we missed. You. Oh, Jerry made it! Yay!"
Harry.
I'm like,
And
okay.
then
The only person who should be saying that is
Arnie.
Sharna.
Shawnee.
Sharni is the only one who I feel like should be like, yes, Jerry is here, back, love you, man. The rest of y'all was fake AF. Like
Mhm.
you you literally threw him to the wolves and was like, go ahead, fend for yourself, make it if you can. And Sam, also like Sam, I would have just went and threw sand in his face if I was Jerry. I'd be like, shut up, you didn't, Mister. Throw the person away. If they don't come
Mhm.
back, they don't come back. Like
Mhm.
whatever.
Mr. Australia himself.
I would have,
Australia.
I
Australia
would have,
himselfy.
I would have picked up a whole handful of sand and just whop, just threw it at him. Like, shut up, talking to me.
My
But
my question is, do we think? Well, let's ask a question, Jerry. Where do you want to be at? What home do you want to be on?
that is the question sent before Jerry, and I'm like, stay with the villains, Jerry.
Right. No, honestly,
That's what I say.
I was like, why
Look,
would you go back to the people who don't want you? But maybe he saw the meat tray and was like, I'd like more meat, please. I'd like to win, maybe.
I think he let the whole label, he's a hero, shield him, like make him, he has to stay loyal. That's just who he is. And that's the kind of player he is. And so he can't now just mid game be like, eh. But, but, okay, I'm jumping a little bit and I'm sorry. But he decides to go back to the heroes tribe. But I'm very confused. I'm very confused because if you're going to go back to the heroes tribe like you do, then why do you act as though now you're still pissed that they voted you over there in the first place? Like, why are you going over there like, I mean, you buggers do be over there. I don't know. This is the hierarchy. They don't even know nothing. Like you're being so like it boggles my mind. I just was confused by that. Maybe y'all can enlighten me on this. Is this a thing? I don't know. It just confused me.
Maybe he thought these people will, I'll forgive them, they'll forgive me, and they'll want to keep me to show their wrongs. And if they keep me, you know, they won't throw me right away. That's maybe what he's thinking. I don't know. Like
I'm honestly, I'm sorry,
no,
Ashley, go.
you go. I was done.
My thought process is maybe he just wanted to be better with like the safety in numbers, and plus the heroes have been winning a lot.
Hmm.
For me personally, I agree. I kind of would have stayed with the villains if I was him, because you automatically have a majority there.
Exactly. Like jump to the bottom of a 9 person tribe, or go to the middle, perhaps, of a
Not
7.
even. He would be at the bottom of an 11-person tribe
Exactly, right.
that's staying
Exactly.
safe,
Yeah.
or
Going who knows where in the villains tribe because they don't
in
even know
like
where they're
a
at.
8-person villain tribe. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
I,
It's I don't know. I don't know.
But
It,
so we go. So Jerry is a hero again.
yeah,
Cool.
sure.
And then we go to it's an immunity challenge. There's no reward challenge. It's an immunity challenge.
And the villains are shooketh because Jerry just left.
Hmm.
And they had no idea. And he didn't say anything about this 2 day trial period that he was on.
Uh-huh.
They just assumed he was there forever. But
well,
he left.
maybe Jerry wasn't a true hero. Then, if he wasn't honest with them, maybe he should have stayed with the villain with that thought. He's not
Well,
being honest.
I mean, that's not very hero like of him to go and not say anything. But what else? Jerry goes back to the. Jerry, I feel like Jerry was like, I'm going back to the winning tribe. I'm sorry. And that's where he went. And
Yeah.
guess what?
Valid.
Valid. Because the, I forget, the, I forget what the challenge was.
Oh! Don't worry, Lana, because I remember. I remember because it's our classic. We're gonna push a ball in some mud.
Right.
The one that
Mm-hmm.
always causes injuries.
Oh yeah, looks at Survivor essay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Luckily, this time we didn't get any injuries.
No injuries. Yay.
Injuries to ego, but that's about it.
Well, yeah. This is tea. We
This is what stood out to me at this challenge. George was very much like, we need to be smart about who we place with whom, against whom. And Simon was like, he wanted to go against, I guess, Sean.
Sean.
He wanted to go against Sean. I don't know if he wanted to, or that's George didn't think that was a smart idea. Simon was like, who else will go against him? Like,
honestly, there's
it
not a
was,
lot of great matchups anymore for
no.
them.
No.
But they
There was
start the thing. It was Sean, Flick, and I forgot who else. Oh, Haley. Sean, Flick, and Haley against Simon, Liz, and Shawnee. And the battle was on. Like Shawnee and Liz, and they were pushing that ball. They was getting it down. Then Simon left the ball to go to help.
To go fight Sean, basically. Like
And
that's what it was.
yeah,
there
and
wasn't a great strategy
mm,
on it at all. No.
mm,
My favorite part is just Shawnee rolling this ball by herself. Everyone else is over here. She's just rolling. She's rolling, and then someone would come over periodically and try to like push her back to where she was, and then she just keep
Keep
rolling.
doing it. The
it
little
was
train who could.
It
I
was so
know.
crazy. Like Sean just took her and pushed her all the way back to the starting point and then left her and went. I was like, oh, that's so sad. But
Shawnee.
Shawnee, she tried. She tried.
She
But
did the best she could with what she was given.
for sure. But they didn't agree with the strategy of leaving the ball, just
Mm,
with Shawnee pushing. So
mhm,
it was, but okay. No surprise, no shocker. The heroes win again. It's
Is
just,
that always just the banner we have ready at this
yeah,
point?
I
yeah.
have one of each. Fun fact.
This
But
is
I
we
one I
have
get.
never,
this one, and then on the rare occasion, I have this one.
Well,
But typically, it's just this
this
one.
one. Oh my god, that's funny. Well,
it's,
yeah, like in this point in the episode, we have 30 minutes in, maybe, and we have an hour
mm-hmm,
left.
mm-hmm,
And we're like, oh, girl. And I watched this live. So I was like, oh,
Hmm.
girl, what could happen in between here and now? What did
Mm,
we go to the beach and we're like, we still have 45 minutes at the beach. I was like, what? So yeah, no, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
yeah, because it was the greatest tribal council ever.
All
So
time.
we have to
Oh,
talk about it. So yeah, villains go back to the beach and they're talking. They're scrambling. They're doing what you always do in Survivor when you lose a challenge. You got to figure out who you're going to vote for. What's the best way to do this?
mhm.
Um,
you talk about fruits if you want to have a secret code. That's the best way to do it.
mango,
Mango. 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 And then what was
mango,
the other word?
papaya.
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 Papaya
Mango.
was a no.
And a mamaya. Papaya.
Mamaya,
A mango. Mama mango. There we go. We got them all confused. That was a maybe. We'll think about it, right? Okay, that
yeah,
was a
yeah,
new
yeah,
fruit.
yeah. Yeah, that's the maybe fruit. Mamaya, but
Mamaya.
Well, yeah.
mamaya is. We'll think about it. But papaya is a no go.
Mhm.
Mango, go.
Hmm.
So that was Stevie and Simon talking, and they were like, "We're going George. George is the way to go. This is the time to do it. Let's just do it."
Hmm.
And Jordy is like, mm, "I don't know. I don't know if this is the time. I don't know," because Jordy has been feeling very iffy about Simon lately because the tribe seems to be shifting and turning on Simon slowly but surely. But Simon is like, I don't see it, don't care. I hear the whispers, don't care. I hear about it. I hear 'em, but I don't care because I have an idol in my pocket. I ain't going nowhere.
Well,
He ain't going nowhere. So, he, yeah, an idol. He's not, he's not, mm-mm. He don't care.
he says, I'll be reckless. I'll say what I want and let's get
Mm,
it to happen.
let's get it done. So Simon is like, we doing George. That's what we're gonna do. That's the best thing to do. That's the angle we gonna take it. Everybody else is and Fraser's like, okay. Fraser's going along with it. Stevie's like, yeah, I trust you, Simon. Let's do this. Jordy is the only one like, oof. I
Mhm.
don't know about this. I don't know if this is the right time. This is the right thing to do. And because him and George have started talking and becoming closer and building I guess, an allyship or relationship, if you want to call it. And so he's not sure he wants to get rid of George at this point.
Which is
George,
fair.
which
Very
you
fair.
gotta you gotta play for your own self. And
Hmm.
George, on the other hand, is very much like, let's do Simon. He's getting on everybody's nerves. He's causing havoc around this camp. I just feel like this is the time. We got to get rid of Simon. The girls are great with that plan. And eventually, Jordy comes on board with that plan. He's like,
Hmm.
he's like, in every man's life, in Survivor, you have to face the the crossroads of friendship and playing the game.
Mhm.
And right now, he was at the crossroads. He was like, do I pick my friendship with Simon, or
Hmm.
do I go with George? and get rid of Simon, which will open it up and I'll be in the majority instead of the minority of this game.
Mhm.
I am going to pick the majority. And so he tells George and Liz and Shawnee
The
for
Spice Girls.
the Spice Girls for trust that Simon has an idol. And he was the only one who knew about it. And so they're like, wow, great. We feel we can trust you now, George, because you're giving us information, which is usually the way it happens. People give information, you receive it, you feel like they are trustworthy enough to share that with you.
Mhm.
Jordy is doing what Jordy has to do.
Mhm.
Then we get. Is this when we get the backstory of Jordy? No, is that later? Might be later. I'm not sure. But we start getting Jordy's backstory of how his year. I think that was this one where his
That was
year.
this one, yeah.
Yeah, we saw his little story come up of how his year has changed from the last time he was on Survivor to how he is now. The last time he had just lost his stepmom. He didn't want to be home. He was very grateful to come out to Survivor to take his mind off of that and be a distraction. A year later, he has every reason to be home. He is engaged to a beautiful woman
Um,
and a baby on the
Cookie.
way.
Alex is Frost from last season's sister Sam, whose Channel 10 sweetheart was on The Bachelorette. So whenever they can show her face, they're going to, and they
She
will.
was she was on The Bachelorette.
Australian Bachelorette, and her
That
brother was on last season. Yeah,
Her
on
brother and ex-boyfriend
boyfriend
were
was on
on last
Bloodwater.
season.
of Survivor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Jay and Alex.
Jay. That was her ex-boyfriend.
Mhm.
Stop it. That's
Yeah,
messy. Ooh, that's messy and scandalous all in itself, and I love it. Okay, burn.
And neither of them did well.
and didn't. But
Jay or
Jordy,
Alex
yeah, they
didn't
were
do
all
well.
pretty early, you know. But
Oh,
They were fourth and fifth boot.
Jordy got to meet Sam via Alex
mhm.
postseason, and like they're, I've got pictures of them hanging out with Sam with the other besties in Melbourne. Like it's all like it all comes to be one big circle of like I have a kid coming, I have a wife on the way, I have things to play for this time.
Mhm.
Yeah. What I love getting these little tidbits of information of how people are outside of this game because y'all know I don't know these people. I don't follow up on these people. So having Ashley and Logan here to keep me up and giving me tidbits, I love that. Thank you guys. But yeah, so that's nice. This is interesting and juicy that Sam slash Alex. Why is it Sam slash Alex? Give me that piece of too.
Well,
Why?
Alex is her brother from last season.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, why do we say Sam slash Alex? But okay, Sam is the ex girlfriend of Jay who played with Jordy, but now she's engaged to Jordy and having a baby. Yay! Great,
Yay, full circle.
full circle.
We'll
So
talk more about them later.
yes, we'll
And
talk
will.
more.
And
It will. But so yeah. So Jordy is like, I have so much more to play for this time around. And so I have to do what's best for me. And in this moment, he felt what was best for him was to ditch Simon and go with the majority, which not mad about. Like, I understand. It is what it is. You have to do what's best for your game. Oh, that's it. So I thought somebody had something else to add. Yeah.
No,
Not much, really.
let's just go to tribal.
We
Okay.
walk in, the dramatic walk in that we get.
So
Then we sit down.
Operation Anaconda is supposed to be a go.
My anaconda, no.
Don't want none. Nope.
Because we got a challenge.
Yep. This was very much, I was so thrown by the fact that they put in a challenge in the middle of tribal. Now, they've said they've done it before, but y'all know I ain't never seen them before. And they did not do this last season. So I was very shocked to hear Jonathan say we are doing a challenge for individual immunity. I was gagged. Like, what?
It's no, I have to. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No, fuck this. Fuck production. Because this happens every season, and I shouldn't continue to get mad at these sorts of things. But unfortunately, I'm going to continue to get mad at these sorts of things. Let Survivor happen however fucking way it happens. And don't blatantly rig things so that your production favorites make it to the end of the game. If you're gonna rig stuff, make it a little less obvious than literally giving us a fire making immunity challenge when you know that Simon is one of the best fire makers that Australian Survivor has ever seen. What are you doing? I'm done.
See, I mean, yes, I agree with that, but also we've learned over the years and the seasons that these twists will come up for everyone. It's Queen Ashley's random. You do hate to see it, but I will say, how many times did George in his season get a production rigging to save him or his ally?
14.
So I fear
I hated every single one of them then.
and I do also, but like sometimes when it's your favorite, you just gotta for me. Sometimes you just have to say, well, everyone else had a chance for the record. They just happened to give the lumbermen building a pole and starting a fire. Like,
And
I get it.
I will even say on Blood versus Water, I hated when they had the twist that brought Haley back.
Mhm.
And I love Haley. I think Haley's great. I'm so happy that she won. Oh, Lana, you're probably not aware. So Haley was actually voted out during Blood versus, or not Blood, Brains versus Brawn. And then was brought back in a Redemption Rock twist in a, I'm going to go ahead and say, a very unfair matchup for her opponent.
It's like a
it was a hanging on a
small ledge.
Yeah, hanging on like a ledge situation. Her opponent stood no chance.
A big, bulky-ish man who was a weight balance distribution, and she is good on her toes, quite literally.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
It's something that we see a lot in Australian Survivor. Is it fair? But I guess it's part of their makeup. Yeah, we don't love it, but they continue to do it. So
I mean, sure, we saw a little bit of it from what I saw last season when they did the whole bring back 3 people.
Oh, the Redemption Rock or the
Exile Island, but then
like in the desert. Yeah,
but not.
Yeah. And they brought back 3 people. That's
basically the same thing they did with Haley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of was like, okay, that was a little. And then they brought back 3 people, so only one person was left out of coming back. I was like, it's kind of too much. It was a little too much, but I was very much shocked when they did the whole immunity thing in the middle of tribal. Like, why are we doing that? Like, what was the reason? Like, I don't understand. We already just did a whole twist where somebody wasn't voted out and then they just went back to their old tribe. Why are we doing this again where I mean, it just seems a little too much, too twisty. It was too much power. I think it overshadowed the game, and I feel like I agree. I think they felt like their golden boy was about to get voted out, so they did something. One of the 2 of them was going to go, and so it was like, how do we save both of them? Because they know George has an idol. He's going to play that. He's not going to go anywhere. Simon can win this immunity idol, so he won't go anywhere. He's immune, so they get rid of, they do what they got to do to keep them in the game. And I'm like, as much as like I get what you're saying, Ashley. I feel you. Like, they do it for so many people. Why not do it for him as well? Because he's a favor to some people. Somebody like him, so he's there, and they want to keep him around. Also, understand Logan. Like, why are we doing this? Because it feels too like production has took their hand too deep into this game. Like, but we've seen like I said, y'all warned me last season that Australian Survivor definitely has production hands in
Yeah.
puppeteering. This very much like heavy, and it's
Mhm.
obvious. Like I think we've seen some production rigging in U.S. Survivor also, but it's not as obvious and not as overplayed as what we've seen in Survivor Australia. So, interesting.
Um, can I comment on Simon winning though? Can we?
Sure. Yes, let's
I
talk about
feel like
that.
for me, like I know a lot of people are still down on him and everything, but like my favorite part of the episode wasn't the tribal. It was for me watching my friend Simon, who is a super fan of Survivor, who
Hmm.
has studied his heart out. He's done challenges, he's done puzzles, he did all the prep, and he plays games online with us. Like he's a nerd like you and I. And to see him just like the pure joy of knowing that
Hmm.
I
Yes.
get this dream of an idol around my neck, like
Hmm.
was already emotional that night, but I got
Mhm.
even more emotional that night to see like someone I consider like a friend, like get to see a childhood dream come true.
Mhm.
And like even if it was unconventional, like he did it and he got to have that
Mhm.
moment. And like just seeing him cry and like
Hmm.
emotional and like show that he's a little bit of a softie, like
Mhm.
I
I
don't know. I
love
just
that moment. I did.
yeah.
I actually love
I
that
did too.
moment. I because no matter what you feel about somebody's game, to know that when you're a super fan and you've watched somebody who has, like you said, studied and worked and dreamt about these moments, when you see somebody get that moment, it's like, that's so fulfilling. It is so amazing. And that was pure joy coming from him. And people in the game might not have believed the tears or believed that he would, but that was pure joy. He
Mhm.
mentioned he did not make it to merge last time. He
No.
never got to win individual immunity. And for somebody who went out the way he went out, to come back and play it again and actually do the things you can check off your list, like, yeah, I won an individual immunity. I got the necklace around my neck. I got to feel what that feels like. I got to experience the pure joy and satisfaction of winning for myself. I did that. I won that. I beat this challenge.
Mhm.
That's a great moment. And so I felt that for him. I was happy for him. Look, it doesn't matter if the production rigged it for him to play. He had to win it himself. And anybody could have won it. Anybody could have came up behind him and had the opportunity to win it. It just was more, I guess, heavy in his favor. But just because something is in your favor don't mean you go win.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So I was happy to see it. It was a good moment. It was nice, and those tears were genuine. I liked it.
I was
Yeah.
very happy for
I
Simon.
was like, oh, look at him, so happy.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's the part of it for me, and then the other part of me is like, oh, now people have
Ooh,
to make a new plan on the fly.
mhm, on the fly.
The game part of me is like, ooh, this will be fun.
Yeah. And this is where now everybody's like, this is why this was. Some people said this is why it was the greatest
Mhm.
tribal in history because of what happened, the aftermath of Simon winning, when people were ready to turn on Simon right then and there. And so if he didn't win, he was going to go home the same way he went home, with an idol in his pocket. Well, what he thinks is an idol in his pocket.
Mhm.
Um, so now he can't go. What do we do? And this is another reason why I am changing my tune about George. Now, do I like the delivery? No. Did I like how he did it? No. But do I like the move? Sure, absolutely. Because he had to, it took away Simon's number one ally and completely drove a wedge between them. There was no repairing that anymore, because once he snitched on Jordy, which I obviously did not like, because honestly, I'm feeling Jordy this season. I'm like,
Me
I kind of,
too.
I'm rocking with Jordy this
Something's a
season.
little bit different. I think it might be the baby, honestly. Like there's something a little bit different about Jordy, and I like him.
Maturity.
Maturity for
Maturity, I
sure.
agree. It's like, sure, he's still Joker and still he's still trying to cause chaos, but I think he knows he has to have controlled chaos, and that's what he's trying to do more. And so, and I think he realizes he doesn't want to be the Joker so early in the game. I think
Yeah.
once we get to merge, we'll start seeing more chaotic Jordy, which is fine because that's what he was supposed to switch it up and play the game. But I feel like he's matured more. He's not as wild and crazy and reckless like he was last season. But I'm feeling Jordy this season. I'm like, I kind of like this kid. I kind of like him. I see what he's doing. But seeing George make sure that Jordy and Simon's relationship was irreparable was so smart because Jordy already was having doubts about Simon. And Simon wasn't having any doubts about Jordy. He just knew Jordy was his homie, his number one, his ride or die, his ace boom coon. That was who he was will roll with. Simon had to see that Jordy was not as loyal and down as he thought. And George just exposed that. I didn't like it because it was like, dang, not the Jordy. But the move itself, the
Mhm.
gameplay behind that, the strategery, it was like it was interesting to watch, I will say. I was very much into the gameplay.
I will say, I wonder. The opposite side of that sword is,
Mhm.
does what George do to Jordy, does that hurt George at all with Jordy? Because George just blew up Jordy's entire game
Oh,
of
for
play in the
sure.
middle. And with Stevie as well, I wonder, because like both of them, I don't know who they'll go back to. I still kind of don't. Even if we've watched the rest of the week, I'm still a little like question mark on the trust built between them and how bad it was broken and who can be more repairable. So I don't know. I don't know if it wasn't great for Jordy either way.
Mm-mm. I feel like what it did for Jordy, it did the opposite for Stevie. It made Stevie open his eyes and see that
He was at the bottom.
Simon, you were at the bottom, and Simon was not going to risk anything for you. And it was kind of interesting that not Simon, Stevie was like, "You, what you go do, Simon? You go."
I
And,
mean, but would you have an idol in your pocket that you think you can get one round ahead? Do you, if we're playing as a villain, do you wait for use it for yourself, or do you try to build a gap? But also, my issue is like Simon didn't write Stevie's name down.
no,
Like that's when they try to villainize it. I'm like,
hmm
Simon wrote down George.
hmm
What he wasn't going for Stevie. Like
and
mango happened.
right, man. Look, the Operation Anaconda was down. That was the plan. It was going to go down, but George was like, pull the theatrics behind the whole idol pulling out and waving it around. I was like,
What do you what do you think about the fact that he did that during Stevie's vote? I think they should have been in a gag order at that point, and then he could have, because they started talking during Stevie's vote,
mhm.
and that's not fair. I don't think
I don't
there
think
should be a gag order
I
then.
agree.
I agree. I was like, that's not fair for them to be doing all that talking while Stevie is very unaware of what's happening down there and he's voting. Like
Exactly.
nobody should be talking during the vote. It shouldn't be that, and he shouldn't have been able to do that. But once again, I feel like George is a production favorite for the show, and I don't think George can do any wrong in production's eyes because he's giving the entertainment that they want, and he's being the villain that they signed him on the show to be. And so it's like, if if this was the heroes tribe, it wouldn't have made sense for this to happen because you are heroes. But it makes perfect sense in the villains tribe for the villains to break the rules, to go against what is supposed to happen, talk during tribals, talk during votes. That's what villains do. We don't F the rules. We don't care about the rules. We're villains. That's what we're supposed to do. So I think that they let a little leniency happen with that. But I don't know. I don't think it was fair because Stevie is very unaware of what was happening. Because I think if he was aware, he probably wouldn't have wrote George's name down. It wouldn't have made any sense. I would have tried. He would have probably tried to defend off of his name and put it on somebody else because I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me.
I
Yeah.
mean, the way this was all constructed and laid out and happened was just, I have to give credit to George. Like, I really do. Like, it was masterful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just everything about it. And then I'm watching it with my roommate, and he goes, "Oh no, Stevie's gonna get voted out." And I'm like, "No,
No.
there's another person we have not spoken about since episode 1 here, and that's
The
Frasier."
And I called that out too in my watch party. They're like, oh, it's Jordy that goes here. I go, there's Frasier right there. What are you talking about? They're not going to take out Jordy, who's a potential number.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
no.
No,
So
yeah.
we get the results. We're going. George plays his idol. George is guilt tripping Simon.
I'd say gaslighting more instead of guilt tripping.
Sure. Simon issues an apology to Stevie. All 4. 2 votes against George do not count. 2 votes for Stevie. And 3 votes for Frasier.
It was it was an unexpected. Like, had I went into that episode saying Frasier was going to go, I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, it was unexpected.
Yeah, no. I didn't think Frasier. I thought for sure it was gonna be either Jordy or Stevie. I was like Stevie probably but that was the plan. And then I was like Jordy maybe because this whole blow up and breaking of the trust and blah blah blah. But then I was like that doesn't make any sense for Jordy to go here because
So you get rid of the only other person that could be positively connected to Simon.
yep, and who probably would still stay with Simon.
Yep.
If they stayed. Mm-hmm. And you give it to Frasier. I was like, I felt like Frasier was very silenced in this series. Like, we didn't see much from Frasier either. Frasier was like Sarah to me. Like, you saw them there, but you didn't hear anything.
They voted.
And they voted and they agreed with the plan. It was like, here's the plan. Okay. And then that was what it was. So, am I sad to see Frasier go? Not really, because I didn't know him. I didn't get a chance to know who Frasier was. We didn't even get a backstory on Frasier Too Tough. We just know he was in real estate.
I think we had one exactly.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
At the beginning, he was in real estate.
Mm.
It's like, okay, great. But other than that, I didn't know you, Frasier. Sorry.
Sorry, Frasier.
Sorry, Frasier. So, yeah, that was it. Frasier was done. And we move.
Yeah.
We move.
Yeah, and we sure do. Do we move one less down?
I think
we will. I'm gonna update banners really quick because I realized I should probably do that. But yeah, my voice is kind of shot at the moment. So we are.
I feel like the next 2 episodes we can fly through pretty quick, and there's not as much of big content in the next 2. So, like, absolutely, we got you. We got you.
Cool. All I have to say, I'm gonna say one more thing before I go. Fuck Paige.
Amen. And I will talk about that.
We'll talk about that for you.
Please do, for the love of God, because fuck that bitch. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. So long. Farewell.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And now it's just us. Us queens. Us queens.
That's not center at all. No, I mean, I think we talked about 2 queens leaving. Well, 2 ladies leaving. Let's retract the queen and put a lady in that. But I don't know. I think the next 2 episodes were a little bit more content of beach life and getting to know people a little bit more, the after effect of that super tribal council, um, especially. So I think we can definitely make like that next morning we wake up to like the somberest of somber beaches up on the villains.
Yeah, it was just like George's plan of just simply undermining the majority and stealing. It was just a great plan. It happened, and now everybody's like, "What do we do?" Jordy has to talk to Simon because where do they go from here? And it was like Stevie felt very emotional after being saved by
The Spice
George.
Girls.
The Spice Girls, yes, the Spice
Mhm.
Girls saved him. And he was very thankful and grateful for being saved. And I feel like that's so interesting that to see how
The people who
Stevie,
masterminded it against him, reel him
right,
in.
just like that, just like that.
It was so quick.
And it was so crazy because how Stevie was so gung ho at one point, waiting and waiting for to get Shawnee. Now he's like, "Oh, I owe you everything."
Exactly.
It's it's crazy.
It's fun to see growth.
Exactly. Like growing. We don't always have to gun for the person who did us wrong all the time. We just figure out if it's necessary to do that. Now, sometimes it's necessary to go for those people because you just never can trust them.
Exactly. Which I mean, I think Shawnee in this episode, I don't remember when we see it, but our girl does some killer things this week with protecting herself. I don't
Yeah.
remember what the flow of it is, but
I yes. And I'll say this now. I said I was going to keep my mind open when it came to Shawnee because at the beginning I didn't know if I was feeling her. I'm understanding Shawnee now. I'm
yeah.
feeling Shawnee. She's coming around for me. And I'm like, okay. I think at the beginning, she was just very much trying to play up the role of the villain.
Mhm.
And it came off very acting like it didn't
Not
seem,
genuine.
yeah, not genuine. Now, I don't think she's a villain. I just think she's strategic. And she's showing how strategic she is and how smart she is when
Oh
it
yeah.
comes to knowing her place, knowing when to make moves and when to back down a little bit. So,
Which is she's a social player, but like so freaking strategic, and like she knows
mhm.
when to turn her charm on. She also knows when to go and do something in a killer move. So like in I'm trying to think. Is it this episode? In this episode, she definitely finds an idol. I don't
Oh,
remember
yes.
what part,
Yes.
which I don't know. Like
She,
she,
okay. She walks through she has a conversation at the well with Liz, and they were considering keeping Jordy. And they were like, why should we get rid of Jordy? Jordy is somebody who we like, we have fun with. Um, we should keep him. And but before they walked away is when she noticed an odd looking coconut.
she's like,
Hmm. She was like, eh. And she goes and she finds it and throws that coconut deep into the jungle. Chucks it.
throw it away.
Look,
Exactly.
she didn't do that this time.
She
She
didn't.
was like,
She goes, I know how to throw coconut now. I learned last episode, two
yes.
episodes ago. Oh my god.
Yeah, she threw that coconut and got her idol, which I was like, you go, girl. There it
And
was.
it was right by the water well, which is so obvious. But
So
I mean,
obvious.
I am kind of happy she got it because I'm really curious what she can do with it. And she didn't tell anyone she had it. Like
Right.
that's a big move for her not to tell her alliance that she has an idol, and it shows she's willing to play a selfish singular game, which is great for her.
I feel like if you're not willing to play a selfish singular game, then why are you on Survivor? I don't understand.
Amen,
I
sister.
I never understood people sharing idols when they don't have to. Like if you find it alone,
Keep it alone.
you keep it alone. You found it alone. But if you find it with somebody, then of course you have to tell that person. But I'm
Exactly.
not going to tell nobody if I find it by myself.
And you shouldn't. You
That's
shouldn't.
crazy. But okay, Ashley, speaking of Shawnee and her game. You mentioned she's a really social player, which
Mhm.
is, and me, I consider you and myself very social players when we play these games. I think
Right.
we,
We agree on that. Yeah.
we know, look, we know our place.
Yeah, yeah. We are
We're,
self aware.
we're very self aware of where I
Yeah.
live. Like, we're not strategic mastermind people. Like,
I'm not winning comps.
I'm definitely not winning
I'm
comps. No.
definitely. But we know when to talk and when not to talk.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people downplay the social part of all these games. A lot of these games, people don't think when you're playing socially that you're really playing the game. They just think you're just being nice. But I think being social is a strategic move
It is.
in these games because it's hard getting people to trust you
Yeah.
and give you information without turning it around on you.
Mhm.
And we've both been successful and unsuccessful in this aspect. Like,
Yes.
sometimes the social game works and people are like, yeah, tell, let's play. And then other times it's like,
Gotta
get
go.
them out. Gotta go right now.
Which, like, thank you for that. A compliment, I guess. Right? You're like, you gotta get me out, I guess. Let's go.
It's my favorite line is, we can't take you to the end because you win. People like you too much. And I'm like, oh, well,
Try. Might as well, right?
might
Why
as well
not?
try it. People don't always like me, but
Right? You're like, maybe I'll piss someone off today. Who
right,
knows?
who no. And then when you get to the end and win, be like, you should have took me out because
You all said it and you didn't do
and you
it.
didn't do it. So
So,
now I'm winning. I'm winning.
exactly.
But I'm glad we're having this conversation between me and you because if Logan was here, he'd be like, I don't know that.
Tea. That's tea.
Sorry.
And I can
Sorry,
see
Logan.
I see myself in some of the players that are social players. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I resonate with like a Shawnee, where she knows when to downplay her social and strategic skills.
And that was what I was bringing it to because I was like, wow, I see what she's doing. Like, I recognized it and I was like, okay, now I understand. And now I see what kind of player she is. But she's very smart and she's very smart and very,
Calculated.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
she so good. And this is her third time playing. She's now officially hit the longest record of days played in Survivor Australia. So she obviously is a student of the game at this point. Like, she's learned and lived through it. So like, her finding an idol is just another thing in her purse to help get a tool to keep going.
so, hmm I'm excited to see her play some more. So um, then we go back to the heroes camp, and that's when Jerry starts feeling more betrayed. I think the more he sits in it and stews in it and boils in it, he really gets frustrated with the fact that they voted him out and sent him to the other side and pretty much left him to fend for himself, either stay and survive or get out, either way.
Mhm.
And so he is starting to show, he knows he can't show that his true alliance is now with the villains, I think. But it's starting to crack a little bit because he's being very ornery with,
He's
like,
like, I was a villain, and there's a meat shield over there. They're talking about there's an alliance over here, like to their faces, and I was like, honey, that's a conversation to have individually with who you trust the most, not the whole tribe.
exactly. That's just something you say in confessionals.
Right? Like, I was like, honey, he just like picked back a chair and he's like, got a cold one. Let me tell you what you missed. Like, he went full on in. I'm like, sometimes it's better to keep some of that information locked in. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, babes, you have to just like be mad, but don't show that you're mad. You don't
Exactly.
let them know. You don't let them know that you're angry. I would have sat there and been like, oh no, I'm hero strong. We're good. They
I
asked
came
me
back
information.
strong.
Right. I came back because I trust this group. Um, I they asked about information. I gave them nothing because I just
Why
wanted
would
to take
I?
information. Why would I? I trust the
Exactly.
heroes. I'm hero to the end. They would have never questioned my loyalty to them. But in my head, I'm like, I will never work with you people ever again. Like I said, I would have wanted to throw sand at Sam's face, but I wouldn't have did it. I would just
No,
came back and hugged them, and we would have been a kumbaya tribe all over again.
exactly. And but
He couldn't do it.
I think he's just far too something. I don't know what, but I think he's a green player for sure. He doesn't really
Mm.
understand the strategy, and I think he just thinks he's a standout guy. He's gonna say what he needs to say.
I mean, but he went on and told them all about how the villains know everything about the hierarchy on the hero tribe. That the three guys, y'all at the top, and Maddie is in there as their apprentice. I was like, oh,
What? Oh, you're like,
wow.
wow.
Followed by Flick and Paige, and then everybody else is at the bottom. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. He
What?
said that Ben had a silver tongue. He told them that. I was like,
What? Oh,
what? What? You just gonna tell him that?
like, is that a compliment or an insult? Could it be taken either way? I don't know her.
No idea, but I was just like, you are actually go sit here and spill that. And like you said, he was sitting back with his beer in his hand, just like, this
Exactly.
is what I'm telling you.
He had time,
He had time today, and
and
he gave them the business.
maybe for I mean, for this episode, it pays off for him, I guess. Like he doesn't have to confront it or anything, but dang, dang, it's I don't know, it's interesting, and I think the heroes kind of recognize and realize that he might be onto something.
Mm-hmm.
The big boy platter is like, we don't like that. How can we fix
Mm-hmm.
that? You know?
Exactly. And they were uncomfortable, but I feel like people were listening. And that also showed, as much as I was like, Jerry, what are you doing? That shows the level of trust that they gave him. Even voting him out and bringing him back, they were like listening to what he had to say. And it was like taking resonance in some of them,
Exactly.
But,
I mean, but then it's this same tribe is interesting. We continue on that day, and something that I think is very funny is a comparison that we're gonna make between Benji and Simon. When you
mm-hmm,
so Benji finds this little thing with
mm-hmm.
nothing next to it, and he goes, "This isn't real. There's not a note." I was like, "Thank God someone understands how that show." Because love Simon, but honey, where's the note? You don't trust
What's the,
anything till there's a note.
right? Something got to tell you, congratulations, this is an amusement idol. If you ain't got the note, it ain't right. That's like if you're going to take a picture, it never happened. If it's no video, it never happened. So
Exactly.
if there's no note, it ain't an idol.
So, but he picks it up and says, maybe I'll use it somewhere along the line, as you should.
As you should.
Um, like, I think that's kind of what happens at the Heroes Tribe,
Yeah.
pretty much for that in between. Nothing
Yeah.
wildly exciting after that.
So we go to the next challenge, and that's when JLP tells them that. Well, JLP asked the villains to tell the heroes about their tribal because
Because it
they
was
see it was
best tribal in the world. Wow, wow, wow. That's how they set it up, basically. Entering in is the villains tribe with one man left. Frasier? What?
afraid, huh?
They're like, it was an exciting, but Frasier? Like, that's what
Frasier.
my reaction would have been like. Would have got, okay, all right, go off, sis. Like, okay.
For sure, it's like the outcome was very anticlimactic to what you built it up to be. Like, yeah, it's gonna be the Frasier,
Frasier? Well,
huh?
I guess we
Who
got a newbie out in the best tribal council ever.
ever?
Sips
Eh. Right. Man.
So the
But
heroes are like, oh, well, one man down, one
right,
mus- muscle for the villains. Like, cool bet.
but yeah, Simon goes on and telling about George swinging the idol and how he's the king of Survivor and Frazier was collateral damage. But then George turns around and throws Jordy back under the bus again and exposing him as a traitor who told him about Simon having an idol and orchestrating Simon's blind side. The heroes are like,
They really said
what?
spilling because we're taking notes. We thought
Right.
like they're finding cracks for
They're
sure.
finding major cracks, and you know, it's just it's crazy. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
it's
it,
kind.
it's
It's yeah, just like putting salt on a wound. It's not there.
yeah,
It's they had to relive it again, and I don't know, but they're like, let's try to get in the right headspace for a challenge for immunity.
yep. So then the challenge. Oh, wait, yeah. So the challenge happens, and they have to hold a box between two people on their feet, and they have to hold it up. And it's an endurance challenge. Whoever holds the box up the longest will win.
And this is a
Um,
semi-classic of Australian Survivor. They love to do a hold something up with your feet with partners
hmm
every most seasons. So this one is fun because they get to decide who's teaming up with whom.
hmm And come to find out that find out that Sharni has done this challenge before.
Oh yeah,
And
Shani. Yep. With
I said
Ella.
Sharni. Shani has done the challenge before and held it up for 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Impressive time, and she could have kept
And,
going
oh, for
easy.
sure. Oh, for sure. Um, but so it's Shani and Liz. It's Paige. What for the villains is Shani and Liz, Jordy and Simon, and Stevie and George.
Mhm.
That's who is for the villains, and for the heroes is Paige and Sharni, Sam and
Sean,
Dave,
Dave, Sam, and Dave,
Yeah, Sam and Dave, and Jerry and Ben.
because they sit Sean out this one
Yeah, Sean sat out this one.
because we don't need seven feet of legs to be showing in this comp.
He would have pushed somebody's legs to their face.
He would have been touching the other base, like at that point.
Yeah,
Like so, they sat him because like he probably would fall quick, which makes sense.
makes sense. So that was the teams. Jerry and Ben fall first. Not surprising because Jerry has an ankle issue.
Mhm.
He can't hold his legs up, and he's older. Can't hold his. I would have never even volunteered to do this one because I have no core strength. And
And that's what you need is those quads and cores to be
hmm
built. And
hmm
in this one, the big boys will not be lasting as long as some of those endurance gals. So
exactly. So
that's what it
Jerry and
comes
Ben,
down
exactly. All the time. You have your body size and strength is helps you in these endurance challenges, and it is what it is.
to.
But
Exactly.
Jerry and Ben fall first, followed by Simon and Jordy, and then George and Stevie fall, and then Salem and David drop, leaving Shawnee and Liz, and Sharni and Paige. Now this is where,
It gets contentious.
and Logan's final words starts coming into play because
This edit isn't doing anything good for our girl Paige here.
because we watch Paige say, "Oh, I got a cramp. Oh, it hurts so bad. Ow, I can't do it."
You see your quads shaking, and you see Sharni just trying to be a supportive partner, be like, if you can't do it, you just let me know. I'm here for when you're here for. I saw a supportive teammate.
That's what I saw. And that's what I saw. And eventually, and we look over and see Liz struggling a little bit, but Shawnee
Is
is solid.
she's like, "Oh, I could be here all day. Let me just get like my lip gloss
So
ready." Like,
right, she was literally in a zone.
mm,
Like there was, I really believe she could have stayed up there for 2 hours and 7 minutes this time. Like she, she was in a zone. It was so good. There was no coming back for her. Like there was no beating her in this challenge. But Paige, we saw her struggling. We saw her, and she dropped the box.
she did.
Let's
Let's make it
put it
clear.
out there. She dropped the box.
We're
I
gonna
don't care what she say,
we're gonna
but
call a nine of clubs a nine of clubs. She dropped the ball.
she dropped the box,
Mhm.
and it is what it is. But as soon as they were heading back to camp, production, the edit, like they were on her neck. They were on her neck the entire time, because as they were walking back to camp, they catch her saying, "I didn't drop the box. She dropped it. She dropped it." And I was like, "What, girl?
Did we watch the
Huh?"
same show? Are we in the same program?
I was,
That's odd.
that was interesting that you thought that.
Because that's not
But
what I saw. But
that's not what I saw. But my eyes aren't crazy, you know. But whatever. So we get back to camp, and Paige is just like still on this whole thing of she didn't drop the blocks, and it wasn't her. It was Shawnee, and she's crying. Sharni, she's crying, and she's like talking to Flick and Nina, and she's like, "I didn't do it."
mm,
And if they're like, "It's okay, no, it's fine, it's fine." Flick is like, "I don't care. It doesn't matter who dropped the box.
we're here. We lost. Let's go.
Right? We just got to
Mm.
deal with it." But she's just like, they were like, "The target is the same. Leave it as last time. We'll split the vote between Ben and Jerry." Ben and
Ben and
Jerry.
Jerry. Oh, they should have got a nice name for that one. But they have
They missed out. They should have been a duo.
an alliance
They
for
could have
sure.
been Ben and Jerry for sure.
Oh, they should have.
They should have. They
Missed
missed the boat on
opportunity.
that one.
Maybe they
But,
still do. We'll find out. There's still time.
but
Writes in.
right, Ben and Jerry. Period.
Please name your alliance. Thank you.
Thanks. So Ben is searching for an idol, and he finally finds the idol from where I guess his clue idol gave him to go or whatever. And he finds it. And as he's reading his note that
Mhm.
Simon never got, because it always comes with a note,
Note. Exactly.
Maddie sees him through the bushes.
Just a little. What you doing there, guy?
"Hey, guy, what? You're reading something over there?"
You got some paper? I didn't think they had paper on this island. That's
I didn't-
interesting.
That's peculiar. It's paper over here.
Let me ask my good buddy Sean and Sam, who's played this game before, where would you find paper on an island? And for
Because
what?
he looks like he's reading something. He's reading something, guys.
Did you guys get the daily newspaper? Because I didn't. Like,
I didn't get the paper today.
no, like that. So it's one of those like quick run back, which causes a stir for sure.
For sure. And he tells the rest of it. And then the plan was to remain the same. We still go vote out Ben. If he has an idol, then Jerry is the collateral damage here and goes. So Nina goes and talks to Sharni about the split vote. And Sharni feels left out because she's like, "I ain't know about no split vote. I didn't think Jerry was an option here. Why is Jerry an option after everything he just did for this tribe? Why are we doing that?" And they're like, "Because Ben has an idol."
Right.
And if Ben has an idol, she wasn't really ready to let go of Jerry just yet. So,
Which might be her fatal flaw,
mhm.
which, we'll talk about more. But like, I don't know what her and Jerry connected on, but it was strong apparently.
It was very strong. But also now Ben wants to come up with another plan because he's like, "Sure, I now have this idol, but if he didn't, he like, if I don't have to use it, that'd be great. But if I do use it, we needed to go on a target who we need to target someone else. Because at this point, he's like, Jerry is the vote, but he's not really wanting to get rid of Jerry either at this point. So he's like, we need to flip it to somewhere else. And he's going to use Sharni as his scapegoat. And he's going to use Paige's misinformation to target her instead.
Mm-hmm. What I think, we're not the tribal council yet. I'll get to the tribal council. I had a thought, but I'll pause on that thought.
I mean, we can go right to tribal now.
Okay, yeah. So they go to tribal and they still do the stupid debate of who dropped the box, who didn't. But we see Benji wanting to try to cause chaos. And my theory is he heard about what the villains did at their tribal, and he wanted to try to replicate that chaos and that energy. And so he said, let me try to make it a live council. Let me try to go and run these votes through, which I don't know if it did anything or not.
I just found it to be. I didn't like it. I didn't like
anything for me either. Yeah.
No, it didn't. Like, I wasn't excited about the way it was going because, first of all, we'll start off with why I'm just like rolling my eyes at Paige, because when Jonathan first started driving and said, "So Paige, you dropped the box," she was like,
No,
I didn't. No. And like throwing Sharni under the bus for what? Why is it important who dropped the box?
One of you two did, and you're here, right? Like, who cares? You're here. There's no taking it back. Whatever happened.
And even Flick tried to tell her not to take the bait because Jonathan continued asking questions like, "Well, did you think Sharni did?" She was like, "Don't take the bait, don't." And she's like, I mean, I'm not saying that, but
big wink. JLP. I'm not saying it, but I have a winking problem.
look,
I don't know.
Look, I'm not saying that at all. That is not anything that I'm saying. I'm not saying that Sharni dropped the box.
But if I was, my head would be looking like yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
I know.
and it was just gross. And then it was gross how Ben used that and was like, Sharni's a snake. Like, what? Where did that come from?
I didn't see Sharni as a snake even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit.
Her up and coming, like, I didn't see her becoming at all, like, in a way of like what she did wrong in the game. I don't really think she did much wrong. I also don't think she did much, but it just kind of, she was again one of those middle people, like a Frasier of the last one, where you're collateral, you were on the wrong side of history.
It was unfortunate, but yeah, Sharni was eliminated. Was the seventh person eliminated. Paige being Paige, I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I was very much turned off by Paige's behavior in this tribal council, and even after the whole and I hate that she got rewarded by getting rid of Sharni when Sharni honestly didn't do anything to deserve to go. But like you said, Sharni didn't do anything at all throughout this game too much. So I kind of feel like I felt when Fraser left and with Sarah left, it's like, but I think I'm more sad with Sharni than I was with the two of them because, like, I don't know. I just feel like Sharni was one person who was actually standing up for Jerry and trying to be an ally to Jerry when I felt like people were doing Jerry so dirty.
Yeah. So, I mean, good for her. And I guess she makes a friend out of the experience.
Mm-hmm.
She gets to, go back to daytime television or movies or whatever she does in America. And, she'll be fine. She moves on.
She'll be good. She'll be fine. I think I felt more sadder for her leaving than I did with Fraser.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because you saw at least she had a heart.
Yes.
which resonates to me for sure. So yeah, I don't know, sad, but I also
But
like feel like we didn't miss a dynamic to the television show either.
like exactly, it was like, it happened. It is what it is. So
Yeah, that-
that was it.
that's
we move,
that episode, and we move right into the next one. Basically, I think right
yeah, we move right
because
into.
we
Mm,
get to the best time of the season. I've been waiting for 5 episodes, so the heroes stop crushing the villains. We walk into classic auction,
mm-hmm.
but we drop our buffs.
Mm-hmm.
We love a drop in our buff moment, and JLP gets to. They do it randomly, which maybe in this time I would have liked a little bit of production interference, like they've done in the past, so we didn't literally have Heroes 2.0 on the villains tribe with the beefy men,
Mm,
minus Maddie. Add Simon.
right.
We just added a different salami to the tray, like I don't know, like
Literally a brand new piece of meat. We added more. We added prosciutto. There we
exactly
go.
right. Like like yes, am I happy to see besties Jordy, Simon, and Nina come together and try to run that tribe? 100%. Very excited. But like the counterbalance between the two tribes are astonishingly blaring. Like
Um,
it's so bad. So bad. Let's talk
it,
about them.
let's talk about it.
Who is on what tribe? Do we have a layout?
So on the villains tribe, there's Nina, there's Liz, there's Haley. Those are the ladies of the tribe.
Mhm.
Then we have Meat Fest with Sean, David, Simon, Jordy, and
Mr. Australia himself.
Mr. Australia himself, Sam.
Hmm.
That wraps up the villains
Meat tray.
meat tribe. And then we have on the hero side, there's George, there's Shawnee, there's Jerry, there's Benji, there's Paige, and there's why do I
Maddie.
always miss the last one? Maddie.
Maddie, yeah. I was just looking at a picture. I'm like, I think that's who we missed, Maddie. Which,
Yep.
which he'll get some episode time. This, a little bit.
Hmm.
He gets a mention compared to some of the others. But like, yeah, it's if there's a strategic puzzle, maybe the heroes have a chance. But also they have Nina and Simon, and there's some people that are good on Haley who are good on
Hmm.
puzzles on the villains. So like.
Hmm.
Ooh, girl, it
Oh,
did not
girl.
shake very well. So, I mean, do I still love the villain stripe? Yeah, absolutely. 100% still rooting for most of the people I love, minus Shawnee, are on the villains.
Yeah.
So, it just shaked out well for me, and I get to see some Sean and Simon content. My heart is so happy to see just some of the hot men sitting in a hot tray together.
I'm excited to see Jordy and Nina come back together and play the game that they were meant to play last
Yeah.
season because I
Yes.
do believe that they would have been great.
Yeah, and I think that's a good their relationship. I think in the off season too. Like she spent a lot of time in Australia doing like an Australian tour, and she got I think really close with Jordy. They did a lot of things together on their season, but then off the season. So like when we talk about the Jordy segment of it all, like I think she got really emotional and happy, and so did Simon because they know Jordy and Sam as friends outside the game, so they're like um, it just gets emotional, which we'll talk about in a second for sure.
Yes, 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 yes. So after that, Jordy realizes after the switch up happens and the unbalanced tribes, in my opinion, happens, that Simon joining the meat tray, he probably will instantly go back, will go to that side with the boys. He would want to. And he's like, oh no, because where does that leave me
Mhm.
if Simon gets integrated with the boys? and he was exposed from from George, the last tribals, and he doesn't know
Where his
his
feet are in this right
his
now.
in this right now. And then we have the Spice Girls who've been divided with Liz being on the villain side and George and Shawnee on the hero side, and so they're like, "Ah, not this," but it's okay. They Then the auction starts. I think this is my favorite part of Survivor Australia is that they still do the auction. I miss that in American Survivor like
Oh
very
yeah,
much. I
I
love a good
love it.
auction.
It's competitive. It's fun. It's camp.
Yeah,
It's all of
I
that.
I love a good auction, and so this was the funny part to me. George is on the trial with the hero, and he's like, "Okay, we all do $320. That's our limit. Each person can have up to $320. That's what we'll do." And right away, like right away, Ben is like $400. I'm like,
He said, "I don't listen to your rules, George," and I respect that. Mhm.
I do. I respect it. And then when he did, he got stuck with the onion.
Which
Like he's
a covered item. I guess you hope for the best, but
yeah, you do.
then he messed around. He found out, and he had to eat an onion a la Shrek.
Not a la Shrek.
Well, I mean, there's layers to it. I swear. Gosh, no,
Yeah.
that was funny because he desperately wanted an advantage, and they could all tell that he was at the bottom, both sides. Everyone who saw it was like,
Hmm.
he's gonna try to get something. So
And it was funny. The second he went down, they were like, "Don't. He got to go. We can't trust Benji. We gotta. He has to go." And George is like, "I know, I know." So he's seeing cracks on the hero side where, like, okay, Ben is at the bottom. What he does with that information, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
and then so Liz, Sam, and Sean all got some food to
some
snack on,
spaghetti, some wine,
some
burger.
tacos and burgers.
I don't
Yeah,
remember. All good things that you haven't had in a while. So anything
right.
you can get it is basically
And
what they're thinking.
exactly. And then it was a video message from home up for grabs, and
My heart.
this is where my heart was like, "You're such a softie," because I was already like, "Oh, this so." Jordy and Matt both are expecting a baby, and so both of them were like,
How far
"Because
along are you?
how?" Right, and it was great. I'm like, "You're not expecting a baby, she is," but whatever.
Right, right,
But
exactly.
Jordy was like, "I'm expecting." They said Maddie's expecting a baby, and Jordy was like, "So am I." And they were like, "Oh no!" And Matt was going back and forth, and I really think it boiled down to the fact that Matt had gotten the letter
Mhm.
from home or pictures from home during their last reward, why it was
Very,
okay,
yeah.
you
For
know.
for Jordy and Sam, this is a question that came in this season because on Instagram and everything, we see that they're having a baby, they're pregnant. We see it after shooting's done, they announce it basically, and we're like, a lot of us were like, do we think Jordy knows going in? So it
Mm,
was very early in the pregnancy, and I think they all decided that Jordy needed to make sure the baby was viable, healthy, Sam was good, there was no complications. So they're like,
mm-hmm,
there. Whereas Maddie's like, no, they're far enough along. We know everything's safe and healthy with the baby.
mm-hmm.
Which is it's so funny to see me like in an auction generally they're fighting, but this is like literally like, no, you have it. No, you have it.
You
No,
take it,
you have it. Like
right?
it's so
Like,
Midwestern nice to me. Like
yes, as a Midwesterner, yes, I know. It's like you take it. No, you take it. No,
no,
you.
really.
No, you. No, it's okay. You could have it. Like
Which
somebody take it.
so Jordy says, okay, if you're gonna give it to me, I'm gonna take it. And they do. And this segment really for me was powerful in the way of showing Jordy's more than just the Joker. He's a human element. You see him talking to Sam and just being so happy and like crying, putting those emotions out and being like, are you good? Are you healthy? And, they find out a gender reveal. They're having a baby
Yeah.
boy. Like, that's so cool. He'll always have that memory to show his
Hmm.
son growing. This is where we found out. And for me, also another part I talked a little bit about, but you see the instant joy, all the trimates come up. And
Hmm.
for me, the two people, just because I know the connection, Nina and Simon, they know Jordy and they've known him outside the game. They know Sam. And they're just so happy. They're crying for him because they can see how happy he is and how happy Sam is. And I think it's just truly a thing that we don't see enough of is the human element of Survivor. And it really just tore my heart. Like, just like, I'm so happy that he could have this moment to just sit and cry with Sam.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and I think now with hearing about the outside relationships that he has with some of his castmates, also like they know where he was a year ago. They knew his journey, and they saw him come from not wanting to be home, going through that sad moment, to now being this man who's about to be a father, and seeing how happy he is now. And they get to express this and see this and, celebrate with him. It was just a beautiful moment. And it was very much like a break from the game for a second to just have a human moment, a human thing. And I felt really like, I was like, oh, my heart. Who's cutting onions? Ben, get that onion away
And
from me.
I'm not crying, it's the onion.
It's Ben's onion that's messing with me.
No, and
But it was
my
just so beautiful.
my friend messaged me like right away before I watched in the morning. Goes, if you don't have tissues, just grab one real quick. And I was like, oh, okay, I will. And I was happy I did because it was a really just powerful human moment.
It was. It was so
That
nice to
was a
see.
good heart of an auction, which we don't get really too much more outside of. I think the biggest headline outside of Jordy is the Spice Girls getting to leave.
Right. At which I was like, great. That was interesting. I had some mixed emotions about this pick. So what was mean is George wins the last auction. It's a covered item, and he reads the scroll, and it's he gets to go guest of honor. He's the guest of honor and gets to go to this surprise feast party, a surprise party, and he could take two people with him. And he chooses his alliance of Shawnee and Liz. I was like, I don't think you should have did that for Liz.
He showed his
It's,
hand too much.
but I think it really put the bigger target not on him or Shawnee, but on Liz, because Liz is over there by herself now.
Yeah,
She doesn't have the backing of the Spice Girls, and if the villains lose, she would be an easy target to go like, hey, if she gets back to Burge, we know where she going, so we need to let her go, and
I agree.
and so I was like, that doesn't seem good for Liz. And what happens later is definitely not a good look for Liz if they lose. But we'll talk about that later also.
That's so
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
Okay.
they get to go to the surprise party or whatever, plus one party where they just have like a meat board of non Sean, Simon, Maddie, or David, an
Hmm.
actual meat board. Like with real actual
Yeah,
meat.
actual food. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Who would have thought?
Who
And
would have thought?
here's my issue about this. They literally do this big pile of buns. And back in the day, idols used to be really hard to find. But they moved one bun and Shawnee goes, oh, this look at this really nice idol. It's hidden by production under this bread. You used to have to cut through cakes to find an idol. Clue, not even an idol. They literally just laid an idol under Oprah's favorite bread.
I,
Like
they're getting really lazy with
they
the
are.
with hiding the idol, because even that coconut was just sitting right there by
Mhm.
the water well, just right there. All you had to do was go look and be like, that's a weird looking coconut. Hmm.
like try harder. Like give them a clue, make them look for it. Don't just put it under bread at a reward where, oh, it's not like the whole tribe could anyone could find it. There was 3 people and oh, 2 of them happened to be production's favorite.
Mm,
Not saying that we talked about this last episode or the first tribal here in this episode, but what you knew 3 people are going. Excuse me? Like try harder. Thank you. Gosh.
try like what happened to the days of giving them a clue and saying the idol is right under your shelter, and if you find it, you have to be stealthy enough to find it without disrupting the whole. What happened to sneaking around in the middle of the night to find an idol?
Honestly, like I feel like it's gotten really lazy, really easy, and like I want more dynamic. Like the fact that Shawnee now has 2 idols in one episode because it's so easy. Like, or is it 2 episodes? I don't know. Like
There's two
back to
different.
back idols. Like
Yeah,
what? No, like
come on,
eh,
productions, do better.
I love Shawnee. Don't get me wrong, but like, girl, that was a lob right there where she could get to pick it up. So
They literally just handed it to her. It was like, here's Shawnee, here's an idol.
here's number 2, which I mean, for this one, I guess, or
It,
her alliance knows about it.
yeah.
So we'll talk about it tribal council later,
Hmm.
a little bit about. So yeah,
So yeah. So yeah, they go and go have their feast and find idols. Period. So we go up to the villains tribe, and Simon is on cloud nine. He couldn't be happier with this switch. He couldn't be happier with the tribe he landed on. He is like, this, I feel like I'm home. This is where I should have been from the beginning. He calls it the dream team. He just knows. I mean, but if you look at him, you can't disagree with the man. It's like,
I
this
think
is the, I see it. I understand. I would be happy too if I was on that tribe. I'd be like, woo, we winning. So I don't have to worry about going to tribal because we winning. But he's like, this is the best thing ever. It's like a dream come true. And he dubbed them as the supervillains. They are the supervillains now.
you're like, okay, all
Oh,
right,
okay.
okay, good work.
What that works for him. I mean, but yeah, I'm not. I don't disagree with him that this was a great tribe to be on.
Oh, for him,
But
for sure. Yeah,
for
like he's 6'1", but he's still not the tallest or the beefiest on that tribe. Like, which is wild because he's pretty tall, pretty beefy as is, you know.
hmm
So good for him getting a shield.
or he thinks.
So he
So
thinks,
he
yeah,
thinks
for now.
because he thinks he's everything. Yeah, everything is all gravy and everything is good. But Sean is not exactly interested in trying to work with and recruit with him at this moment. I'm not sure he wants to add him into the meat tray crew, but he might keep him along. Like you said, he might be that straggling meat that Maddie was at the time, but he's not really interested in
He's
having
more
Simon on board.
the server of the meat tray is what Sean sees him as. So, like he's holding the platter and walking around with it, but we could hold it ourselves if we need to. Simon is what Sean's basically saying. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so interesting.
It's interesting. And also Jordy, this is where I just was like, I really like Jordy so much.
Me
And
too.
I felt this last season. I felt like Jordy just knows how to make people want to keep him around.
Yeah,
His social game is immaculate, is really good. I mean, even after the whole debacle with George outing him at the tribal, the next day he had Shawnee and Liz like, we're not
laughing
getting
it
rid of
up.
Jordy.
Yeah,
We're not,
exactly.
we're not, we don't want to get rid of Jordy. We won't do that. And so now, moving on to this new tribe, Jordy is like, look, I know how to stroke alpha male's ego. And what you do is you come down to their level and you talk about the stuff that interests them and you let them go on and on. I was like, Jordy, what woman have you been talking to? Because we've been doing this our whole life.
Sam must have taught him a lot in the off season of, how to make,
I
how to blend.
I mean, like, I'm like, oh wait, he didn't learn the woman tricks. Who taught him? Because that's what we do every day. We make the men, we come down and let him talk, and we like,
Oh my God,
mm-hmm.
that's such a great idea. Oh my God, you're
That's
so
so
smart.
you're
Like,
so smart.
Sean, like, how did you cut off the sleeves?
Just leave your shirt.
I'm so weak, and I just need you to cut mine for me.
Can you,
But that's
look, wait, let me put my. Oh my gosh! Like, how do you do that? You twirl your hair, and I don't know. Like, how do you? Could you help me open this, please?
David. Oh, you play football, or have you once watched exactly 1 minute of football?
Oh my god! Like, that's so interesting. Like, how many games did you win? Did you win a lot of games?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, you're the yeah.
oh,
Tell me more. Like
tell
stroke
me.
that ego.
Of course.
Oh girl, and he does it so good.
He does it so good because, like, they would rather work with Jordy than they would with Simon, which I'm like,
Works for Jordy.
okay,
Mhm.
it works for Jordy. And I'm like, I'm not mad at it because I do think, like I said earlier, I do think Simon is getting very comfortable because he feels like he has this idol in his pocket. Like Simon, I like him. I just think he's being sloppy in his gameplay right now,
Yeah,
which is like, you can't be sloppy this early. Like, you got to make it the merge, guy.
reel it in, reel it in.
Real, real. And he
Exactly.
just seemed a little too over exuberant when, like, he was talking to them. Like, I felt like he was trying too hard to get in very quickly, and I think that's why Sean sussed him out. Like, I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, that's. I think Jordy's gonna keep doing that, and if he can find an in that he's not at the bottom, and if he even if he's in the middle, I think he's okay with being in the middle of something rather than the bottom. So keep it up, Jordy. We love to see it.
mhm, we
A
love
great
to see
episode
it.
for Jordy.
I agree. Very good episode for Jordy. And so on the Heroes Tribe
Oh,
page,
at
okay,
this
first of
point, I called the
all,
boot. At this point in this episode, I text my friend. I'm like, "This is gonna happen," and it did. So I was like, I was happy.
I mean, when you walk in your new tribe and the first thing you do is pull the one person who's not the original on your side and say, "Here are the rules." I was like,
And
"What?"
she's telling George,
Oh, she's Stevie.
Stevie, and Shawnee these rules. How many times has Shawnee played now? 3. How many days has George played? 40, well, 49 plus now this season. Stevie's a grown ass man. What the fuck?
But like, this was Stevie and not Stevie, George and Shawnee wasn't even there because
Mhm.
they were on their thing, excursion, having a good time.
Right,
She
that's right, that's
wait
right.
and she pulls Stevie aside. Stevie is 65 years old. This man is old enough to be her granddaddy.
Hmm.
And she is going to pull this man aside and give him the house rules? What? Who are you talking to, little girl? Is what I would have said if I was Stevie. Like, mm, don't talk to me like that. I know what to do. I've played this game before. You trying to get to my level. I've been here before. I know what to do around camp. I know what to do in this game. You don't have to give me house rules like I don't know what we pull our weight around here. What you think I don't? You
Right?
don't think I've been doing that? How you think we got a shelter up in the front? What? Like, okay.
Like, I don't understand what Paige's social etiquette is at home, maybe, or like how to read a room or like socially aware, but none of those things existed in that moment.
Oh no. She was
No.
very, like, I think, again, she just got very comfortable with the fact that the numbers are on their side. And she was like, we just have to do, let's just stay hero strong and we got this. I don't have to work too hard. We just go pick them off, easy peasy, done done. And she was just, ooh, it was, eeh.
The edit was not helping her. Well, she probably wasn't helping herself, but like the edit leans into it very hard, and we're like, wow, she might go soon, huh?
She just really just rubbed everybody just the wrong way. And I was like, ew, girl. Ugh. But yeah, she just went on about how she was ready to take Ben out. But then they were like, wait, hold on. Might not be the best time to take Ben out. Flick was like, hold on. We got to stay hero strong right now because if we take out our own people, our numbers dwindle, and who knows what can happen. People might flip, blah blah blah. We don't want to do that. So they
Yeah,
were like, yeah,
it made sense though. I saw what Flick was coming from. Like, you smart girl, keep your numbers strong, try to keep your tribe strong, keep it going.
right,
Even though you can't stand the guy, you might have to
right.
just a vote or two until you readjust. You
It
know,
was, yeah, it was crazy. Now they were all trying to figure out the Jerry of it all. Um, oh wait, did we talk about the challenge?
was there a challenge? What was? They haven't gone to
Yeah,
the challenge yet, have they?
we
What?
have we not gone to the challenge yet?
What's on? What was?
Um,
My
I think
brain is really
me
slacking.
too. I just went right past it.
No, because
Uh,
that was right after the reward, and then
oh, it
uh,
wasn't a immunity challenge. Wait.
there had to have been. What? Wow, this is the 2 o'clock in
Ooh,
the morning coming for me.
me too. Because
Oh,
I'm
right
like
here. Once a meter challenge rolls around,
face
uh,
sandwich. It was no. What was it? Oh, it was they had the obstacle to carry the thing over the thing and
oh, in the
touch the thing and
slide,
slide down into the puzzle.
the puzzle. There we go. We got it. We just needed a
Okay.
refresher. We just did a lot of weeks of Survivor in a row, friends. Um,
Yes.
this one
Yes.
was interesting because they had to carry either Haley or Shawnee, depending what team you're on, up and down through these things. And poor girls, if you're motion sick, these
Excuse
girls
me.
went through it. Um, and it came down to the puzzle at the end of the day, as it does. And it
Mm-hmm.
was Nina and Haley,
Mm-hmm.
queens, who got a little bit of a head start, versus the combination of Stevie,
Georgia. Mm-hmm.
George, and in and out of George and Benji.
Benji. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I don't know, like, why they keep putting George in or out or in. There's something with the puzzle that just I don't understand if they figured out what dynamic works best for them.
I think they should have stuck with Benji and Stevie. I
Yeah,
think they were better. George, he thinks. I feel like he feels like he's a better puzzle maker than he actually is. I
yeah.
feel like maybe in past seasons he did well in puzzles, but this season it's just not clicking.
There's
Like
someone who can do
anytime,
it faster.
and I think Stevie and Ben would have been a better combination because they started getting it better once it was Benji and Stevie, and then Stevie left and George came back. It's just weird. There's a lot of swapping for the heroes tribe,
And
and
whereas Haley and Nina just were organizing, they knew the color. They had people in the back calling out, "This is what you're going to be looking for." Like, it was a very cohesive effort from the villains, whereas the heroes just basically it was villains 1.0 on their side of the heroes, and the villains win. Yeah,
we don't get to use this banner a lot, but now we are. The villains have won.
the villains 2.0 is dominant.
It's yeah, strong.
Mhm.
And so the villains win, and Nina and Haley knock that puzzle out like the queens they are. It was great. So that's when we go back to the heroes camp, and that's when the scrambling begins.
Well,
And
for most people, Paige is like, "Should we get dinner going? Should we get rice on the stove top? Because my house is my rules. We better do dinner quick." That's how I read it as. Like
I can't.
that's
It's facts. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. But it's still hilarious. Paige is like, she was very confident in the vote. So she didn't care to talk to nobody. And she was like, let's just make dinner. Let's eat. Let's get comfortable. And then she decided after a while, okay, let me go talk to a couple of people and see if we're all good. Hero strong, right? She went
Wrong.
to she went to Flick. Flick said hero strong. She went to Maddie. Maddie said hero strong. Ben, hero strong. She went to Jerry. Jerry was like,
I'm here.
I'm voting for the other side. I'm voting for the other side. I was like, I see what you're saying, Jerry. I see what you're doing. He ain't never said he was hero strong. He just said he voting for the other side. And the other side is you.
Exactly. Well, in my as much as I hate George, he had my favorite line of this episode, where him and Shawnee are talking about Paige because they're like, maybe we could get Paige out, and he goes, I don't think God likes Paige, and it was just so off the cuff, and it took me out because I also was starting to understand why God wouldn't like Paige in that moment. So I was like, in that line, I don't love George. It's highly broadcast. I don't love George, but he's funny when he's off the cuff. I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him.
I agree. I think him saying that took me out. I was like, not God don't even like her. God likes everybody. Nope.
George, no.
No, no, God does not like you. But it was crazy. So everybody was pretty much had their minds made up going into tribal.
Well, except Jerry, which this montage is so interesting to me. So you see Shawnee just at the shelter, and then we have Jerry just in his little beer koozie
Chair.
can
Hmm.
chair.
Hmm.
You see Liz go talk to him. You see Maddie go talk to him. You see Flick go talk to him. You see Benji go talk to him. You see
Page.
hey, yeah, all the heroes. And Shawnee's over there just, stirring the fire, going, sus vibes, besties. Why are we talking to Jerry so much? And that puts a ding ding. I think we might have to use this idol I found, is kind of what starts happening in Johnny's head, going, I think there's a plan that might not be here for us. And if they get Jerry, it's not good. So we need to make a counter plan. And I think that's where we walk into tribal at, not
Yeah.
knowing.
Not knowing. And we walk in the tribal, and of course, Jonathan is like doing his usual. Do you feel confident in the conversations you had? And I was like, I feel confident in what I talked about and the people I trust and da 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 da.
Yeah, it's I think that it's an interesting tribal because I think JLP probably throws it to Paige, a softball, and she does talk about it. Camp Lie, we show the camp and this and that, and the edit just is going to bury her. I feel like in this point of where, yeah, she's not. There's no way of her saving here because I don't really think there's much else in tribal council that's talked about. Do you?
Mm-mm, mm-mm, just go.
I think we get to it where the votes go in and Shawnee goes, JLP, I'm nervous tonight, but not nervous for myself. I'm playing it for George. Negates 3 votes,
Yep.
and the rest is history. Paige, bye bye. And I heard Paige wasn't doing exit press because of we might have talked about it, but she's a big game hunter. So
Oh,
her and Rogue got into it, and so neither of them did game. So some people think she's controversial. So maybe she is. Who knows?
I mean,
I try not to look at it too much, but I know Paige was irritating a lot of people. I think she wasn't super helpful in challenges. She put people down a bit. I think it was her time to go.
I I was not mad seeing Paige leave. I was like, good for you, gotta go by.
I
Um,
even said, which again, people are really thinking I'm sick today or something. I said I'm all right with George staying if it protects Shawnee for another, and I'll happily see Paige go. So like, I think a lot of things made sense. I don't know if
yeah,
Benji made a right decision, and I think he might be sinking his game these last 2 episodes. That's my prediction for next episode.
yeah. I think that this was the best move for George and Shawnee for Paige to go, which is great. I do think if I don't remember who Jerry voted for. I think Jerry voted for Paige.
Yeah, I think he did too. I think he went villain strong on that one.
And if so, I think that was the best move for him. I think him working with them is better than him working against them. And
Yeah.
then he also has now the majority with Stevie, Shawnee, George, and himself. That's that four against. It's 4-4 right now, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or no? Yeah. Wait,
Flick Maddie.
Maddie,
Who's the other?
Benji. Oh no, it's
Benji.
4-3.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
now
4-3. So
they're
that
on
is so I think that was the best move for him because yeah, the
he
other
went out the majority and not the minority. So
exactly, and he's not at the very very bottom. I still think Stevie they would vote Stevie out before they vote him out. I think maybe
mhm.
possibly I'm not sure, but I also feel like with Shawnee using the Spice Girl idol has put Liz in a slightly more terrifying position because they don't know about the other idol that Shawnee has, and I don't see Shawnee giving that up to anybody because
Yeah.
that's her only protection now. So
I do say though, I think in the same sense, on the flip side for Shawnee, it gets those Spice Girls off of her back from like, oh, you have to use it on me, and it makes her game a little more independent, and she can use
very
her
true.
other idol for herself rather than have to feel like it's for a team.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But I know Leah just hopes that her dominant male tribe continues to win so she doesn't have to go until they get to merge. And, if she can make it to merge, I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
But she has to get there. But, yep, that's
We'll find
it.
out this coming week. I know it's going to be the King Shawnee King or King Queen Shawnee King George is the promotions we're getting. We're going to talk
Hmm.
about Simon's fake idol, maybe learn a little about it. That's what we're looking up for this coming week on week 4.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to watch. I'm always excited to catch up on the Survivor Australia experience. It has not disappointed me yet. I'm still very much invested and interested. Did I think the hype up this week was more than it needed to be? Absolutely. But it was still good nonetheless.
Agreed.
And,
Agreed.
but I am not going to hold us too much longer because, baby, it is 2:30 in the morning for me and Ashley,
Mhm.
and we're tired.
We are. We are
So,
tired.
we are tired. So y'all know what to do. Follow, like, subscribe, do all the things. Share. Sharing is caring. Hit us up if you want to be on this podcast. Um, Follow us on _reality on Twitter. And then just follow me and Ashley and Logan if you just wanna, because
We
why
have one
not?
take sometimes. Yeah.
We do. Why not? And we talk everything Survivor and everything else. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week to talk Survivor Week 4. So cheers, Ashley.
Yes.
Cheers to you. Cheers to us.
Cheers
And
to health. Cheers to wealth and to Jordy's baby.
period. Bye,
Ooh,
guys.
oh,
Bye bye.
let's get some tea to sleep with. Yeah, that sounds
Oh,
great.
yeah. Yeah. Nice sleepy time tea. Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.